Hey, Greysteel Nation, Sully here with the Barbell Prescription. And in previous episodes, we've had a lot to say about the upper back, the region just below the scapular spine, where we interact with the bar in the squat. Now, a loose or mobile upper back is bad news for the squat, deranging the bar path and limiting how much weight can be lifted. And we've talked about the grip ad nauseum in the context of both the deadlift and the pressing movements. The hand grip is where you interact with the bar for the dead, the bench, and the press. And a poor grip will bedevil your lifting and your progress. A technically correct grip helps you move more weight and get stronger, and deserves your full attention. So, the upper back and the grip are where you interface with the bar. But this is not the only element of the environment with which you interact while lifting. The entire barbell lifter system must also interface with the floor, that plane of solid matter that keeps you from sinking into the earth and provides the ground reaction force, the surface against which you push in all the barbell movements, even the bench. And you interact with this all-important floor thing through that oft-neglected and most underappreciated of organs, the foot. Hey, want a challenge? Try removing your feet and doing a squat. It's difficult. Now, here at Greysteel, we don't advise removing your feet, but there are a lot of things we do advise or otherwise opine upon, and if you guys find this stuff useful, be sure to like and subscribe. That helps us out a lot more than you know. And please consider becoming a POG, a member of our private community of patrons of Greysteel. You'll be glad you did. Now then, we've touched on the feet recently.
Would you give a guy a foot massage?
We covered this topic in an explicitly platonic fashion in our video on the bar pathometer, which is your foot. So we all know, right, that the interaction of the barbell lifter system with the floor through the feet is of paramount, one might even say foundational importance. And so it is that errors with this interaction are on display in the conduct of the lift itself. And errors in the lift itself are often revealed by the feet. Whether the foot is the etiology or the symptom of a form error, watching and correcting what the foot does can often have manifold beneficial effects on the conduct of the exercise. One of the most common problems we observe when coaching is rocking. Instead of a stable stance with the foot glued to the floor and the weight of the system pushing consistently through the middle of the foot, we observe the lifter's weight moving back and forth along the long axis of the foot, as if the entire system were on rockers. This will not do. The technical demands of the squat, press, and deadlift mandate that the bar move over the middle of the foot and that the interaction with the floor be stable. In the press, the hip thrust can move the lifter momentarily and dynamically a bit onto his toes. But the heel should not come up, and you'll be on the midfoot for most of the concentric and at lockout. In the deadlift and squat, there should be no rocking whatsoever. A limit squat cannot be performed with all the weight in the heel or all the weight on the ball of the foot. Ask me how I know. On the other hand, if you perform the movements with your foot hot welded to the floor, perfectly stable and immobile, you will go a long way to improving proprioception via your connection with the floor and optimizing your bar path over the midfoot, which will in turn go a long way toward improving the entire movement pattern. Another error we observe is what I call, for lack of imagination or a better term, the shimmy. Here, the foot does not rock from heel to toe, but rather glides from side to side, with either the ball of the foot or the heel as a pivot. This indicates a poor setup or stance, or is a consequence of weak adductors and knee cave. Either way, it cannot be permitted. This error presents not only in the squat and the dead, where it gives me the heebie-jeebies to even look at it, but also in the bench, an exercise for which the foot-floor connection is even more undervalued than with the other lifts. And finally, there is the problem of pronation or supination, in which the athlete comes onto the medial arch of the foot or the lateral blade of his foot, respectively. I see supination most commonly, particularly in the squat and occasionally in the deadlift. Supination is usually the result of either an inappropriate stance width or as part of a misguided effort to drive the knees out by driving the ankles out. It hurts me just to watch. Foot position and stability errors are to some extent exercise specific, but there are general principles that will help us avoid them and consequently improve our form across exercises. Number 1, be obsessive about your stance for all the exercises. Make sure your stances are completely dialed in and consistent, and set up each rep of each set of each exercise with exactly the right stance every time. Number 2, follow exact setup procedures for each exercise. The deadlift is the classic example with its explicit steps, but you should have an explicit procedure for all the other lifts too, a procedure that puts you in a correct, balanced start position with your weight over the midfoot and your feet flat on the floor. Number 3, let it settle. Feel the weight settle into your feet. Feel the mass of the barbell lifter system pushing into the floor. For every single rep, make sure your weight is precisely where it belongs in the floor-foot interface before you begin the movement. Number 4, floor to bar. As we've said time and again, barbell training requires tightness. After you have found your balance point on the floor-foot interface, squeeze your entire body into tightness, starting with your feet. Glue your feet to the floor and feel a wave of tightness ascend from your feet to the bar. Now you are ready. Number 5, feel the bar path in your feet. As you perform the squat, press, or dead, cultivate an awareness of where the weight is in your foot. Many, if not most people, can't really do this at first. It's almost an alien concept. As we noted in our bar pathometer video, which you should watch right after this one, this perception has to be cultivated and practiced. And at first, it almost has to be imagined. Fake it till you make it. Imagine you can feel the bar on its vertical path, pushing your feet into the ground and localized in the middle of your bar pathometer, the middle of the bottom of your foot. With time, it won't be imaginary. It'll be real. Now, we spend a lot of money on footwear, and we talk a lot about stance, but that's not enough. You have to pay attention to what your feet are doing or not doing for every rep of every movement. You'll be a better, stronger lifter, and you'll be at less risk of injury and misadventure. Thanks for watching. Stay strong and stay healthy.